Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is Rob Westside. I was trying to get a hold of you guys.
Okay.
About smart meters.
What was your last name?
West.
West?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, have we spoke yet? Or not?
I'm sorry?
Have we spoke at all? Or not?
No, it's first time.
Okay. Okay, I just want to make sure. So did someone refer you to me? I want to make sure that I get this, get the account right.
Yep.
Okay. I don't see anything from you. So did the call center send you to me?
I think I was talking to customer service. I was supposed to hear from one of the supervisors a week ago, but never heard anything. But the girl went into the notes and I read a few of the notes to me, and then said that you would be in charge of it.
All right. I don't see anything, any requests. How do you spell your last name?
W-E-S-T.
Okay, and the first name was Ron?
Robert.
Oh, Robert. Okay. Okay, so I don't have anything on you, so I don't know what
well, my question
so
is.
Explain to me what's going on here.
Okay. They're deploying the smart meters out here in the Lang Lake County area, and I originally called to ask to opt out of the smart meter installation because of my understanding of the harm that it can do from the RF microwave frequencies. And that's one of my questions. If there's a way to opt out of it to keep this meter on here, because these meters still send signals to your office. So, and I'd like to.
Okay, so the meters that are on your house are basically obsolete, so we won't be able to read them relatively soon. So we're changing all of our meters to the new style meters.
Right. Radio frequency meters.
Yeah. So your concerns with the RF, it's not a microwave, so
it's still RF radiation, radio frequency radiation.
It is an RF signal,
yeah.
But it's not a microwave.
I have a meter here. It's by chance, and it's up in the extreme area when it comes to these things. And the research I've done of this, it destroys your red blood cells, makes them stick together, causes headaches, nausea, all these other kind problems. But
so you have a EMF detector?
Yes.
Okay. And you're seeing that it's higher than normal?
Yeah, my meter goes right up to extreme. It's not constant, but I'd say about every minute or two, it's hitting the extreme area. But there's a constant pulse in it, which never stops, which I'm very concerned about too.
So when it's hitting the extreme, where is it? Where's the?
Oh, my meter doesn't. My meter doesn't give the numbers. It just gives a light for the different bands of frequency,
okay.
from low all the way up to extreme.
you used it anywhere else?
No, I just use it on some of the meters that you installed already, that were installed already in the area. I went over and checked them out out of curiosity before they got here. That's why I was trying to get a hold of you before they had come here. And what I discovered was, everything that I've learned about them. And they just, they're just unhealthy. They're not safe. From everything I'm seeing, they're just not safe. I know there's a lot of confusion about why they're being deployed and the agenda behind it all, but for the most part, I just want to keep my health in good condition.
So when you went to a neighbor's meter, then you saw that it went to extreme?
Yes.
Okay. Were you standing right in front of it, I'm assuming?
Yeah, and I actually did another thing. I had to walk approximately 200 feet away from it before it wasn't registering on the meter anymore.
That seems hard to believe.
Yeah, I don't know. I made video of it, but it's it is what it is. There's been a lot of health problems actually happening from California all over the place. That I've been seeing on the internet. A lot of people complaining about these things. Getting mysterious rashes and headaches and poor health and depression and anxiety and just headaches. All kinds of symptoms. It's not affecting
When you read those studies, make sure you look at all the data sources.
Yeah, I do.
Not true.
Yeah, I try to be careful about it. Do as much research as I can. But it's just you got to
read the fine print on most of them. Or if there is no fine print, then you can't believe it at all. Because you got to find out, what was the population of individuals they sampled. Did they just sample Facebook? I've seen some studies that just sample Facebook.
Right. There's another lady here. They did some blood analysis, and what they did was they looked at her blood underneath the microscope, recorded it, and it showed all the blood cells were pretty normal. None of them were sticking together. So then they took the subject and had him stand by a smart meter for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. And then they took a blood sample afterwards, and what they had found then, and were showing, is how some of the blood cells were busted open, and many of the other cells were sticking together, which creates an oxygen problem. Screws up the body, and that's one of the beginning. That's the beginning of starting to get the headaches. That stuff's pretty dangerous. I know everyone's got a job to do and what have you, but what I'm finding out, there hasn't been any studies on these, enough study on this for human health, but they're just deploying them anyway. And I've known about this for a few years now, and now it's happening here in my area, and I'm a little concerned. I would like to try to prevent it if at all possible. But if it's forced on me, then I guess it's going to be forced. But I'd like to try and avoid it if there's some kind of compromise that we can all come to. I've heard in some counties or states that they offer an opt-out on it, but they have to pay an extra charge for them to come read the meter, which I think they're charging $10 a month extra for that.
Yeah, some states do offer that. Wisconsin doesn't have an opt-out program.
Yeah, that's probably because there's not enough people complaining about it, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah. If there was scientific research that proves that
well, the science is starting to outweigh outweigh everything. I mean, there's more and more publications, there's more science, there's more and more people getting involved in it because people are starting to realize, slowly, more and more people are starting to realize what's going on here, and you know, it's harmful to the public's health. You know, and they're finding out that a lot of these power utility companies aren't liable for any of the problems that they're causing. So I mean, it's a pretty.
RF itself has been around, you know, for over 100 years, and there's been a lot of studies in the military and other things.
Yeah, exactly, I do agree with you on that. It has been around for 100 years, and the problem has always existed since this technology has come out, and it's actually getting worse. You know, because it's not just in the military anymore. It's in our cell phones. It's in these cell phone towers, and now we got the smart meters. You know, and there's becoming more and more health problems throughout the world because they're deploying this stuff everywhere.
So the accepted medical research shows that there's no problems. You know, when I look online, if I type in red blood cells, I see what you're talking about. But I don't see any of this accepted by the medical industry.
Yeah, that's where a lot of things really become a problem. You know, as everyone's arguing over it. But statistically, like it was mentioned earlier, you know, there's more and more evidence accumulating. There's more evidence now than there ever was, and it outweighs what they're saying that these things are safe. You know, it's a pretty big problem. You know, and you know, we're already seeing symptoms of it, but you know, what's it going to be like 10, 15 years from now? You know, it could be a pretty bad problem. You know, and it's going to be too late by then, because once you get cancer, you get cancer. You know, it's
right. Okay, so.
And I'm not trying to be a pain in anyone's ass. I'm just trying to be a little safe here and not be a victim of circumstances.
Right. So let's go. So we don't have a whole lot of options. So the smart meters are being deployed everywhere.
Yeah.
The state of Wisconsin doesn't have a smart meter opt-out program.
Right.
So your first option is to, you know, call the Public Service Commission and ask them to look into a smart meter opt-out program. Now, that's probably going to be a relatively long battle, but you know, if it's something you're interested in, the more people that contact them, the more likely there'll be one.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
I can give you their number.
Okay.
So their number is 1-800-225 7729.
Okay. All right, I guess that'd be some help. See what I can.
So the only other option we have is that you can move the meter from the house to your property line, but that would be at your expense.
Right.
And if you were interested in that, basically you would get your own electrician, and they would take care of all the legwork for you. And from our side, all it would be is the electrician would say, you know, I need a outage just to switch the service over and then connect again.
Right. All right. I'll definitely keep that in consideration. I guess I can give them a call, see what we can do here. Is there a number I can reach you back at?
Yeah. My number is 414-221-3688.
Okay. And I'll do my best to try and get things going here and see what I can work out with them and get back to you. So we can try to avoid putting a meter here anyway.
And, you know, if you want to talk about, like the power density of the meters, you know, I've got all that data as well.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you've looked into that or, you know, you just have your EMF meter.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Okay. But we can go over that if you would like as well.
All right. Yeah, I wouldn't mind taking a look at that, just to see some more information. Absolutely. Is that something you could send to me, or how would you want to?
I could send it to you. I can kind of send you our regular letter, and there's some information in there.
Okay.
I'll do that. What's your address? Okay. All right, I will send you a letter.
Okay.
And if you have any more questions, you can give me a call back.
All right, I sure do appreciate you.
Okay.
Very helpful. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Live blood analysis and electrosmog. We can learn much by looking at our blood under a microscope. This short video shows a macrophage, which is like a vacuum cleaner, engulfing bacteria among red blood cells. I decided to find out what my blood looked like. I pricked my finger, placed a drop of blood on a slide, and looked at it under the microscope. This is what I saw. The cells are round, some are separate, and a few are sticking together. Overall, fairly healthy looking blood. This testing was done in a clean electromagnetic environment, and I did not eat or drink before or during testing. I then worked on a computer for 70 minutes and looked at my blood again. This time, the cells are sticking together like stacked coins. This is called rouleau formation. Later that day, I used a cordless phone for 10 minutes and looked at my blood again. And this is what I saw. Very unhealthy looking blood. There are virtually no single cells. Most of the cells are now in rouleau formation. A doctor told me this is what she sees with cancer patients. What I learned is that my blood goes into rouleau formation when I use a computer or a mobile phone. This type of clumping interferes with the release of oxygen and the removal of waste products like carbon dioxide.
The capillaries are so narrow that red cells must squeeze through in single file, showing the importance of their elasticity.
What are the consequences of rouleau formation? Poor circulation resulting in lower oxygen transport to cells and reduced waste removal. What are the symptoms someone may experience? Headaches and fatigue, difficulty concentrating, numbness, tingling, and cold extremities, and possibly heart and blood pressure problems, including risk of stroke. What is the significance of this? Live blood analysis may be a good diagnostic for electrohypersensitivity. For more information about electrohypersensitivity, visit www.electrosensitivesociety.com.
So first things is you see a lot of target cells here, and the target cells could be a sign of adrenal stress, or you're not oxygenating enough, not enough iron and B12, folic acid, things like that. When you see that there are different sizes too, that could mean the same thing. And then this guy here, when you start to see that, I don't know if you're having any back issues, lower back problems.
Slightly.
Okay, that could be a kidney problem if it's not structural.
Okay.
And then the double overlap, they're not that consistent, but that's all we really see. We don't really see a cluster.
Yeah.
You end up seeing the double overlap, and that could be hormonal and or thyroid related, things like that. The plasma looks good in the background. That cell is a sign that it's just dying out right there.
Okay.
And when you see them shaped kind of like this, it's like you're maybe just low on antioxidants for radical damage is occurring in that one and that one.
Okay.
That one there is a little different because it kind of protrudes. It's called a protrusion, and that's generally a sign that the gallbladder might be stressed out.
Okay.
The blood plasma looks great. I mean, I don't see any signs, at least, of if you're having a hard time digesting fats. There's no fat in your blood. Oh, there's a parasite right there. You don't have any candida or yeast, which is really great, but it's probably because of your diet.
Mm-hmm.
And right there is a little bit of right there, that's a little bit of fungus.
Okay.
That could just be airborne, if anything.
Okay.
These are more crystals, so that could be like the fat digestion. Because it's kind of like a crystal. But your digestion is probably pretty good. You just have pretty much like free radical damage, which you probably can't control that too much due to, the air we breathe and things like that. And a few ovocytes, like they're a little bit oval. Again, that's hormonal related and or a B12 deficiency.
But mostly you see target cells.
Yeah, so either you're just not taking deep enough breaths. I don't know if you're under a lot of stress. Your adrenal glands could be stressed out, or you just, I would doubt that it's an iron issue, but I don't know. What would you think? No.
Could be adrenal stress.
Okay. And then when it starts fading like that, it's a mineral deficiency.
Okay. The circles look good. There's one that's...
That one was attacked from the parasite, basically.
Okay.
I've seen them. Oh, there's a spirochete.
Okay.
So those guys are the nasty guys, right?
Where is it again?
He's right here. He flips. See how that guy just moves more freely, and then this guy kind of flips. So that's a spirochete. Really, what I know of those is there's another spirochete because he's a flipper guy. This is unfortunate, these guys, because it's like there's 29 different types of spirochete that I'm aware of, and two of them, are the Lyme, the Babesia, and whatever the other one is. I highly doubt you have it, but these are still part of the family, and we can get them from even deer flies, or from even what I read, you can get them from exchanging fluids with other people. So,
Okay.
all right, you ready? It's right in the middle of the slide. So they're more on top of one another.
What's the term?
Aggregation.
Aggregation. So what's that mean for the blood? Stickier?
Well, what ends up, it's like people, you know, like our blood cells. The more you need another person to survive, the more you're going to latch onto them and take everything out of them. When we can be independent, we don't need anything. So they're latching on to one another because they started to lose their life force.
Yeah.
They started to lose nutrition, oxygen. So they start to huddle in on one another because they're trying to grab it off the other cell.
This is after 5 minutes standing 2 feet away from the smart meter inside the house. Standing in the house, but the smart meter's on the outside wall.
Your white blood cell is really whacked out. It should be nice and round.
This one?
Yeah.
So this is throughout the slide. It's aggregated.
Well, I'm taking you to the center of the slide, which is generally where you want to take the reading from.
Yeah.
Because when you start getting to the outside, it's all going to be aggregated.
Okay.
And I'm right in the center.
The previous one was in the center also. Okay.
In the center of the blood, if that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Rather than the slide. I'd say your theories are pretty correct.
Okay. Anything else?
They're almost better than the first read.
So this is in the presence of safe space.
Look at your white blood cells
For
too.
5 minutes. Point out the white blood cell
Right there.
in the upper left.
Yeah. It's not as contorted.
So I was standing in front of the smart meter just like before for 5 minutes, but it had safe space products, a sticker, and a
You have a lot more white blood cells though, but that's probably because you were in front of the smart meter.
Wow, it looks good. No target cells either.
No. It's almost like you want to wear a safe space.
Well, yeah. I mean, we sell it to patients and flips them. We sell it to patients and tell them to keep in their pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, put it on your cell phone.
Look at that. I mean, your white blood cell count looks a little higher, but I think it's just because...
Because it needs to fight off
that's...
bugs.
Well, I think that you were in front of that smart meter and then you probably were producing more.
Okay.
But looks good to me.
All right, good, thanks.
While industry has failed to do any peer-reviewed studies on smart meters and health effects, a growing body of independent research is now starting to accumulate.
In our second set of tests, we're using the smart meter. Before the exposure, we see the same thing as we saw in the first samples. Normal cell walls, fairly separated and looking healthy. So after 2 minutes of exposure in front of the smart meter at about 1 foot away, we see a totally different story. Sample 1, you can see a lot of degradation in the cells. The cell walls have been broken, and you see changes in the cells which are called mycoplasma. It shows a mutation to the cell. In the second sample, we see a different type of degradation to the cell membranes. You can see a corrugation here. This is called bottle cap formation, and it's known that this occurs due to oxidation or exposure to free radicals. So this third subject, when we did her sample, she had to be pulled away from the meter after 45 seconds because she complained about a increasingly severe headache. And here you see a phenomenon called rouleau, where the red blood cells are stacking up, which makes it very difficult for the blood to deliver oxygen to the tissues as they would be their normal function. Every single one of these is a degradation. Every single one of these shows a trauma to the blood cells. And that came from something, and the only variable was the smart meter.
What's going on here? This is a wireless device which is unproven scientifically, which all the evidence so far proves is dangerous or questionable, which should therefore be studied intensely before it's released to the public. Clever people called the technology smart to make it seem intimidating so no one would question it. Some smart ad man came up with that and got paid $300,000 to call it a smart meter so you would feel less knowledgeable, which they know we feel, and then you wouldn't question the smart people putting it in your house. So I call them not smart meters, dangerous meters.